Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request. This is another request for Edward. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, whatever, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. This is for 2 more episodes of South Park. One is for Season 3, Episode 17, and the other is for Season 4, Episode 1. South Park, again, it's a show that I'm kind of, I would say I warmed up to a little bit since doing these reviews for Edward. I could definitely say I would give it a bit more merit than I did in the past, because I always liked the movie, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, the movie. But the show, I'm like, eh. I still think there's some episodes I'm just not big on. When they just have an issue with a celebrity and it's like, okay, let's make fun of them. I'm like, for me, that's lazy. I prefer more when they concentrate on their own characters. But like I said, when they concentrate on their own characters, well, I would say between these two, I think season 4, episode 1 did a better job than season 3, episode 17. Because that one, season 3, episode 17 is about the students are going to play My Country 'Tis for Thee on these recorders, these kind of like flute type of things. And it's going to be led by Yoko Ono and Kenny G. And, you know, they make fun of Yoko Ono. I'm not a fan of Yoko Ono, but, like, whatever. Okay, she's Asian. You know how they don't make her sound. Kenny G. Obviously, they're not fans of Kenny G. I don't mind Kenny G, but whatever. But when it's concentrated on the characters, like the kids are in school practicing for this, and the teacher's like, hey, work on your fingering. And Carmen's like, well, Kyle was working on his fingering with his mom all night. You know, shut up, Carmen. See, that's when it was interacting with the characters. That's when I think it's a lot funnier. It's definitely an episode that also shows how they don't hold back on their stories, because it's about the whole program, the whole event has been moved to Arkansas. Mr. Garrison, the teacher's upset because he's from there. He talks to the counselor, Mr. Mackey. It's like, did your father do something to you? But of course, South Park goes a different way. No, Mr. Garrison is upset because his father didn't molest him as a kid. And so it's doing a whole 180 on that whole spiel. Instead of being sad and upset that you got molested as a kid and the trauma for Mr. Garrison is that he did not get molested. And so he's talking to his dad, why didn't you molest me? Why didn't you do that? Was I not pretty for you? And the dad's acting like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not going to do that. You're my kid. And then talking to the mom, and the mom's going, I would have made him do it if I knew. Face it, Mom, he never abused me. And the mom's crying because it's such a big 180 and a big what the fuck that I kind of chuckled, and I don't know if it was aghast or amazement, but I went, like, it's original. I will say I've never seen that done, and I think South Park's the only show that would do that. And I went, like, okay. I did like the bit on the bus where Mr. Mackey is like, Mr. Hat, I need to talk to Mr. Garrison. And Mr. Hat's like on the teacher's hand. And so the Hat starts speaking for the guy. And so Mr. Mackey starts fighting with the Hat. And they start having a fight on the bus. Just the ridiculousness, how off kilter that is, made me chuckle. And then the South Park kids get to the event. And they meet pretty much these New Yorker kids. They seem like greasers. They seem like, what you guys doing here? You look like queefs to me. What's with the coat? You a burn victim? Of course, the South Park kids doesn't know what a queef is and the stuff is, and they get made fun of it even more so. And then Carmen's like, oh, I know this thing called the brown noise. If you make a certain note, you crap your pants. So of course they're able to find it and they're going to do it, but then things get messed up. So it's not just those kids that are going to play it. Everybody's going to play it. And they try to stop it. It fails. Meanwhile, Mr. Garrison is upset that his father didn't do that to him. The father doesn't know what to do. Someone molests Mr. Garrison at night. You find out it's Kenny G who got paid to do it. And it's like, oh, I don't need the money to do it. So again, you're pretty much calling Kenny G not only gay, but a molester. And I'm like, again, it's not that I know or friendly with these celebrities down the slightest. As I'm not saying you can never make fun of celebrities. I'm not saying that either. I've done it. Many people have done it. But it's just kind of this more shock value than humor dealing with the characters, at least to me. And I'm like, again, the other portion of your story, as crazy as it is, it's like, okay, that's so off kilter is kind of funny by just amazement that you got away with it. And there's a few animated mistakes, because at the end of the episode, because of the mix-up, the millions play the noise, the whole world has crapped their pants, Kenny died from it. But then when they get on the bus, Kenny's right there on the bus, like minutes later. Because you watch the end, where they get on the bus, there's Kenny in the back. I'm like, wait a minute, Kenny's dead, but literally minutes later, Kenny's on the bus and there's no explanation for it. So maybe it's like someone who just gave up on this whole thing. And at this point, the whole Kenny dying each episode is really, really played out. It's really played out. And I think by this point, they played it out too long. At least in my opinion, because it's just not funny. I mean, I didn't think it was that funny to begin with. It's definitely not as funny now. In fact, it's funnier when Kenny's alive. So that was an episode that, okay, yeah, you don't like Yoko Ono, Kenny G, whatever. Other than a few animated mistakes. The idea is definitely different, unique, I guess, dare I say original. So you gotta give South Park credit for that. And season 4, episode 1, that one I would say I liked a bit more. Because it dealt more with the kids and their story. Which I think is some of the stronger episodes is when they do that. So like Cartman, Tooth Fairy gave him $2. He's so excited. Oh my god, I'm so like, I didn't get I didn't get 50 cents. I got $2. Oh my god, dude. Let's get a bunch of teeth and put them under your pillow, and then we could save to get a Sega Dreamcast. So you know how old this episode is when they mentioned Sega Dreamcast. You remember the Sega Dreamcast? That definitely dates the show. So then they're trying to find where they get teeth. They try to get Kenny's teeth. And I'm like, oh, this is when they're going to kill him. Nope, not yet. Instead, they're pulling Kenny's tooth and they pull him out of his coat. And you do get some nudity. Which I don't think they can do anymore, cartoon nudity. I don't think they can. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure if this is the first time we see Timmy, the guy in the wheelchair who just goes, Timmy, Timmy. I'm not sure this is the first time we see him. It's the first time I remember seeing him so far in this journey. If it's technically not, I apologize. But, I do like when at times, even though they'll say some crazy stuff, There are times where they do talk like children, like Cartman, after Kenny gets pulled out of his clothes, Cartman's like, I just see Kenny's peniline, which seems like something a kid would say. Well, maybe not, but, she's more innocent than some of the other verbiage Cartman and others will say. And they keep stealing people's teeth, and, oh, I got $4 this time. And ultimately the mom tells Cartman there is no tooth fairy. Kyle goes all this whole existential, what if I'm not real type of spiel, while the other kids are going to try to steal more teeth, or do more other stuff, or at least get money from them, even though they know Tooth Fairy's not real. That person will get money. Pretty much they get a mist of this mafia of kids who'd have a tooth racket that they get teeth and they get money and they rack up money from that. Just the image of Cartman trying to be held by the other kids with a fairy outfit, and then there's another group with another kid in a fairy outfit, and then the two, while they're hanging, they're bowing each other. It's a pretty entertaining visual. And again, one thing to give South Park credit is these are not stories you don't see. I mean, I love The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons more. Maybe partly nostalgia. But many times you feel like the story is the same thing. These stories seem pretty damn unique for one to the other. To give credit to that. And probably the line that I thought of the most is because the American Dental Association finds out there's a tooth racket and they wants to stop it. And someone says, I'm gonna bust his ass and everyone's ass who helped hide his ass. I kind of want to steal that line. Don't bust your ass and everyone's ass who's hiding his ass. I don't know, just something about that just made me laugh. And then Cartman gets the idea, well, okay, we're working for these guys. Screw that. Let's work for ourselves. And that results in a sting operation and Kyle going, am I real? And somehow going to a higher plane that fucks up shit. And then it come back. I am everything. I am nothing. And then there's this one subplot where there's a giant chicken mixed with a squirrel. That's the thing. Sometimes you get some random stuff, and they don't always work. Right? The whole giant chicken squirrel, it just seemed more weird than funny. I'm like, okay. Kenny, the way he dies is that to threaten Cartman, they put concrete shoes on Kenny. They drop him. Okay, it was funny that he didn't sink. That he just stood there. And then at the end credits, he's trying to get out, and then he falls through, and then he drowns. So, okay, when they do that, at least that's a bit inventive. I will admit, I'm tired of the whole Kenny dying each episode, but to be fair, there are times they at least try to be a little bit inventive with it, to be fair. Although I'm sure if they try to do that with other kids, I have a feeling they would get a different reaction. I could imagine in this episode, Cartman dies. In this episode, Stan dies. I mean, if Kenny can come back each and every time, why not anybody else? But maybe for them that'd be pushing too far. I don't know. But again, it's such a weird, eclectic plot for an episode. But the fact it centers mostly on the kids and how they're dealing with all this, it seems like the better stories for the show. And especially Cartman. And like by this point, they know Cartman is one of the big selling points. Because a lot of times they'll have Cartman get like the better moments or the better lines. But they're still trying to put the other kids in there. By again, Kyle with his old spiel. But I do think Cartman is easily the star of the show. I think the South Park guys know that too. If one of the kids is a star, it's going to be Cartman. So yeah, I would say I liked that episode a bit more than the previous one, but I didn't hate either episode. As for me, as this show, and to give credit where credit is due to the guys, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, the fact this is a show that's written animated and recorded in 6 days. Think about it. In 6 days, it's written, animated, and voice recorded. They can make a full episode in 6 days because of the type of animation. They're able to do that. So while you sacrifice quality of animation, on the flip side, the animation becomes their own and unique and nobody else's. And that's why a lot of times they will be topical. Oh, last week this happened, so we could do it for this week. While another show, it would take maybe months. Here, less than a week. So, which I have to wonder, if you're able to do an episode in 6 days, that means it probably could have cost that much compared to other shows. And I know idea they signed this big deal where hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe more, is going to be all these movies. I don't know what the word is on all these South Park movies, because there's been no word of them so far. But anyway, like I said, I will say, well, I don't love... Like, if I said I love the show, I would be misleading. I would say I'm a little bit more of a fan now than I was when I first started, if that makes sense. So, give credit to Edward for doing that. And also, Edward, if you're watching, thank you so far for the request. I really do appreciate it. So, uh, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.